So, ladies and gentlemen, we've looked at two big things from this. We've looked at how to find the vertex, either if you're given a graph, or if I give you an equation, or if I give you a table. We've talked about how to find the A value if I've given you a equation, graph, or table. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to find the roots. The roots or the zeros, all of them is where it crosses the x-axis. Okay? So we are going to find the roots for this. The first thing I want you guys to do is list the stuff we know. What is the vertex of this, of number 1 on your paper right in front of you? What would the vertex be? 4 or 5, good. I know my A value is 3. Okay, so does that mean my graph, my parabola, is going to open up or down? Up, okay, because the A is positive. All right, now I'm going to find the roots. I'm going to show you 2 different ways. I'm going to show you a graphing way, and I'm going to show you algebraic way, and sometimes I'm going to ask you for both, so you need to know how to do both ways. All right, so I'm going to show you the algebraic way first. What you're going to do is when it crosses the x-axis, what is the y value? 0. So I'm going to stick a 0 in for y. Okay, let's go through this step by step. First, I am going to subtract 5 for both sides. Okay, and I'm going to get negative 5 equals 3 times x minus 4 squared. All right, now I'm going to do what? Divide by 3, good. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Okay, so you could leave it as negative 5 over 3, but I think you guys would rather work with decimals. Is that a true statement? Get negative 1.6 repeating. Or we can say negative 1 2/3, which is more accurate. Okay, I want you guys to get out your calculator and see this for yourself. So I want you to have it out in front of you. I want you to take the square root for both sides. So if you have your calculator, you type in the light blue button, hit the little x squared sign, gives you the square root. The light blue button. The yellow, oh sorry, on me it's blue. You guys it's yellow, sorry. Yellow button. You type your negative 1 2/3 or whatever. And what happens when you push enter? Yeah, non-real calculation, domain error. So, why do you think that is? Michael, you can just take that to your seat, honey. Anybody have a guess? Can you take the square root of a negative number? No. And this is a negative number. So it says non-real. There's these special things called imaginary numbers, which you are going to have to deal with in Algebra 2. Imaginary numbers is what we imagine it would be if we could take the square root of a number, of a negative number. So all that means for this is what it means is it doesn't cross the x-axis, is what it means to us. So this is a non-real, and we're going to not a real root.
Can you change the
and we're going to leave it like
negative so you can square root?
You could, but then it's not an answer anymore. I mean, the square root of 1 2/3 gives us 1.29099, but we would call that an imaginary root. That's what that little I stands for, because it's not real. And then we'd have to add 4 to both sides. So that's our crazy looking root right there. Okay? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But we can still graph this. Okay? You can, I know you guys know how to graph this stuff by now on your calculator, but what we're going to have to do is graph it on paper. What's the first thing we can put on here is what? The vertex. We go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know it's facing up, so we know it's going to go this way. We need to come up with at least 2 more points. So let's do 2 that are bigger than 4. Let's plug in 5 and let's plug in 6. So all we do now, ladies and gentlemen, is we rewrite this equation, but instead of an x, we're going to plug in 5. So we say 3 parentheses, 5 minus 4 and parentheses squared plus 5. That gives us 8. And then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go with 6. And we're going to get 17. So here is my question, ladies and gentlemen. Could you tell me, without plugging it into the equation, what 3 and 2 are going to be? What's the answer for 3? If this is the vertex, what's the answer for 3? 8. And 2 would be 17. Okay? Obviously, I can't graph 17 on my paper, so I'm just going to graph the 2 8s. I'm going to graph 3 8 and 5 8. So I go over 1, 2, 3, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go up 8. Now, can you see from that picture, is that ever going to cross the x-axis? Jasmine, please put that away so you can just go. Can wait until I'm done. No. Wait until I'm done. Okay, so we're going to move on to number 2. Okay. So before we get started, let's talk about what is my vertex? What is my vertex? -5, -7. Remember, it's the opposite of what's next to the x. Okay. And we know our A is what? 1, 7. Okay. Now we're going to find out, when we plug in 0, what we get. So I'm going to put, sit down. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at this one. We need to plug in 0 for y again. And our first step, can I have somebody raise their hand? What's my first step? Yes, let's add 7. So 7 equals 1, 7 times x plus 5 squared. Okay, can somebody tell me what the second step would be? What do I do next? Divide by 1, 7. So I simply plug that into my calculator. I'm going to get 49. Okay, right at this step, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell, is this going to be a real root or not? And how do I know? Is it going to be a real thing that crosses the x-axis?
Yes.
How do you know? It's positive. So I'm going to take, good, these are so good. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. And you guys might look at it and be a little confused. What is the square root of 49?
No, 7.
What else could it be? What times what equals 49 besides a positive 7?
A negative 7.
Negative 7. So we have two answers. We have 7 equals x plus 5, and we have negative 7 equals x plus 5. You guys know what a parabola looks like, right? It looks like an upside down U, a U, or an upside down U, right? So it's got a cross in two places. So that would make sense that you have two answers. All right, so our final step, the easiest part, subtract 5. 2 equals x. Subtract 5. Negative 12 equals x. So now we're going to plot these 3 points. That's all we got to do. We're going to plot negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm plotting my vertex. No, that's why I gave you so many. Number 2 should be on the second graph. Number 1 should be on the first graph. No, I gave you 2 sheets each, 2 graphing sheets each. And then you're going to have to take more graph paper for homework. Okay. Now, I know my x value is 2. What's my y value? If my x value right here is 2, what is my y value? What did I plug in? 0. So it's 2, 0. If my x value is negative 12, what's my y value? What did I plug in? 0. So I'm just going to go over 12. Make sure you draw your arrows at the end. You will not get full credit if you don't have those. You need to know it still goes on and on. What do we think? Should I go over what the steps were? Number 1, find your vertex. Number 2, plug in 0 for y. Solve, and you're going to get 2 x values, 1 x value, or no x values. Then you're going to plot your 3 points. Your vertex and your 2 values where it zeros. These 2 values, x equals 2 and x equals negative 12, are your zeros, your roots. Okay. I want to skip all the way to number 5, and you guys will go back and do 3 and 4, but I want to look at 5. So unfortunately, this is going to have to disappear. I'm going to go all the way to 5. Okay. All right. Is everybody with me? All right. First thing, please tell me what my vertex is. It is 11, 0. So, let's change these so that this is counting by 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and I'm going to put my dot in the middle. It's 11, 0. Does this graph face up or face down, and how do I know? How do you know?
No, up.
What is the A value for this?
Always negative.
Negative 316, so I know it faces down. Okay, let's solve this now. Let's find the roots. 0 equals negative 3/16 times x minus 11 squared. So the first thing I'm going to do, there's nothing to add or subtract. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply or divide. And if I divide by negative 3/16, I get, what's 3/16 times 0? Or divided by 0? 0.